Hey, it's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the Coach. Today we have a question from our friend Wizzy. Wizzy says, I apologize if you've ever had this question before. That's fine. Ask me a question that I've heard before, and I will attempt to give you a different perspective than what I gave you before. Because there's not enough time in the world to give you every answer to every question, even if that question is simply one and the same. You can fill volumes with just that one. Anyway, Wizzy says, I'm having some difficulty finding my answers. Is Sanda something that an American young person can somewhat easily participate in? Sanda, for those not in the know, is essentially Chinese kickboxing. You can punch, you can kick, and you can do throws and takedowns. You only score for the throws and takedowns if you remain on your feet while your opponent goes down. Okay. There's more to this question, but I'm going to answer this right away and say, no, it's not. It's not a super popular sport. Even in China, it's not a super popular sport. Zhang Weili, UFC champion right now from China, with a Sanda background, gave an interview fairly recently where she was asked about her Sanda background, and she said she didn't know what Sanda was for most of her life. She didn't even know it was a thing. She grew up in China not knowing about Sanda until later in life. Okay. And that is surprising to a lot of people until they hear the actual numbers. In China right now, in all the major sports universities, and I'm not talking about amateurs or hobbyists, I'm talking about serious Sanda competitors. There are about 10,000 Sanda fighters in China. In the entire People's Republic of China, about 10,000. That might sound like a big number, but this is a country with 1.3 billion people. So if you look at almost any other sport, even ones that are not particularly popular in China, they generally have way more constituents than 10,000 people. There are a lot more than 10,000 soccer players in China, for example. A lot more. There are a lot more basketball players. And basketball is a fairly new sport here, popularized largely because of Yao Ming. Man, ping pong, forget about it. Table tennis, ooh, man. So many Chinese players of ping pong, you could fill entire nations with it and, overpopulate them. But Sanda, only about 10,000 professional level Sanda athletes in China. Okay. So, in the homeland of the sport, in the sport where this is the national combat sport supposedly, it's not even a popular combat sport here. So, can you find it in America? You can. There are Sanda competitions here. I said here, I'm in China, you're in America. Okay. There are Sanda competitions there. All right. I don't know where to find them. They're not easy to find unless you're in the know. Go check out Nick and Sai at the Colliery Judo Method. Their channel, Nick and Sai. They are predominantly judo practitioners, but they have competed in Sanda. They do really well in that sport. And yeah, it was awesome to see them compete. Go ask them about Sanda in America, because they would know a whole lot more about how to get your foot in the door in Sanda competition inside the U.S. than I would. Like, man, when I was in the U.S., I didn't even know that existed. And I was actively looking for martial arts competition venues of any kind and every kind when I lived there. Okay. Now let's read the rest of Wizzy's question. I see that there is an American team that participates in the World Cup, but is there a presence of casual/amateur Sanda in America like there is for MMA? No, it's a very niche sport. Very, very much so. So you can find small groups of people who are very enthusiastic about it, if you know where to look. Probably the internet, check that out. It's a valuable tool these days. But a strong presence, no. Also, feel free to elaborate on what you think about Sanda versus MMA as hobbies, as careers, in terms of safety, and especially your personal preferences. I have a dream to try very hard to be a legitimate martial artist, but I'm struggling a bit to decide what that means. I want to know if you think Sanda is too safe to be quote-unquote realistic, or anything like that. Would an MMA fighter be significantly more prepared for a real fight than a Sanda guy, etc., etc.? Okay. Let's talk about careers. Can you have a career in Sanda? I suppose you could have a career as a Sanda coach. Outside of that, the venues to actually make money in Sanda competition are very slim compared to what they used to be. I did a few Sanda fights, professional Sanda fights, in my first couple of years here in China. And since then, I haven't even heard of a professional Sanda fight happening. Because Sanda has largely been displaced with K1 style kickboxing in the People's Republic of China. I mean, it still exists. You can still go to a sports university and major in Sanda, or Wushu emphasis in Sanda. But as far as competition, yeah, you're not going to be paying the bills with that for the most part. If you want to put your Sanda to use, you're going to have to basically cross-train in something else and learn the MMA game or adapt to K1 rules kickboxing in China. In the US, man, kickboxing was never really a big thing, man. My first professional sport was American kickboxing and then Muay Thai back in the US. And I did not get paid very much. Nobody got paid very much. Man, remember when Chuck Liddell was world champion American kickboxer back in the US? He made like $500 for that fight. And that wasn't much more than my highest check for kickboxing back in the US. It was never really a big thing. You know, movies from the 80s and 90s would have us think otherwise. But as far as real competitions, yeah, was never really a big thing. So kickboxing got displaced very quickly with MMA in the US. So if you want to make money in the US through combat sports, boxing, MMA, those are your big bets. Everything else, and maybe pro wrestling. If you're into scripted fighting, okay, cool. But you're not going to make a lot of money outside of instruction with most other combat sports in the United States. Okay, I hope that helps. Uncomfortable dose of reality, I know. I hope I didn't shatter your dreams. Or maybe I hope I did. Maybe I hope I did shatter your dreams so that you can pick up some better ones. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train.